Right, I think we'll make a start. I can see that people are joining us, and there's been a little lull in numbers, so hopefully some more will join as we get going. But it's just 3 minutes past 10, so I think, as I say, off we go. Thank you so much for joining us this morning for another in our series of training webinars. The webinar will be on, it's being recorded, and so will be on our YouTube channel later on this afternoon. We've got some interesting speakers for you this morning. I think cybersecurity and obviously physical security, they're incredibly high in our minds at the moment. Recently, we saw the three retail giants, Harrods, Marks and Spencer's and the Co-op, fall victim to cyber attacks, which shakes everybody's confidence and underlines a hard truth. Cybersecurity is no longer just a matter for technical teams. It's a business imperative. It's here to stay. These attacks were just not just digital pranks or minor technical hiccups. They were serious, calculated incursions, ransomware incidents attributed to the scattered spider group, designed to manipulate human behavior and exploit systemic vulnerabilities. Social engineering was reportedly at the heart of the breaches, where help desk workers were tricked into handing over information. It's the modern equivalent of a burglar scumming their sort of way past a doorman. And I read yesterday that M&S it's taken 3 months to reintroduce its online services. These attacks will not be an exception. They are a warning. So we all have to be very, very vigilant. So our first speaker this morning is Ronnie Comfort from Civitas Technology, who'll be talking us through various cyber-related issues. Ronnie, please.
Thank you, Sally. Really appreciate that. Welcome everyone on the call this morning. So it gives me great pleasure to be here today. As the Managing Director of Civitas Technology, I think it's important just to share with you some of my insights and the knowledge that I've picked up over the many years that I've been involved in technology. So my own journey has given me a unique perspective with over 25 years in the technology industry. I've not only managed IT infrastructure, but I've also run my own businesses, which is obviously really prevalent to the West London Chamber of Commerce because there's a plethora of organizations that have varying stages of their incumbency in terms of impact within the community that they serve and the clients that they have. So I have rolled my sleeves up, run my own businesses, and not only in technology, but also in the property sector. So understand the importance of having a rigorous and a structured environment and infrastructure to make sure that, I'm successful and that I'm able to survive. Sally, you mentioned the situation with Marks and Spencer's and Harrods. They're the ones that are at the tip of the iceberg. This is absolutely prevalent at all levels. So you can literally be just starting off in your endeavors as a business, as a one-man band, or you can be Harrods. And clearly, no matter what you do, if you haven't put the relevant stringent security measures in place, you can be breached. And that's exactly what happens. It's quite surprising because what you see in the press is only a very small percentage of what actually happens. A lot of this does not get reported. So a little bit of background about Civitas. Civitas is over 70 team members, so we're a good sized organization. We have a development company in India, as well as team members here in the UK who come from a corporate background. So we've got over 150 years worth of experience between us. But our mission is simple: to help businesses get the most out of technology and acting as their dedicated internal IT department, but without the high cost of direct employment. This gives our clients access to enterprise grade expertise and support, allowing them to focus on what they do best. And in today's digital landscape, a huge part of getting the most out of technology is ensuring that you are secure. The digital world is a fantastic place for growth, collaboration, and efficiency, but it's also a place with growing threats. So what's happening in the UK landscape? I want to start with a few sobering statistics from a recent UK government report and industry analysis. These aren't just numbers, they represent real world impacts of businesses just like yours. according to the latest cybersecurity breaches survey, and if you are so minded, please do read it. It is interesting reading. Um, in spite of what it says on the tin, it really does give you an insight of what's going on in the UK and the impact of these breaches. So, a significant portion of UK businesses have experienced a cyber attack or breach in the past year, with some reports show a slight decrease in overall attacks. This is mainly driven by a reduction in simple phishing attempts. I'll explain what these terms are, phishing, etc., in a minute. The truth is, the attacks that are getting through are becoming more sophisticated and targeted. And with the advent of AI, this is really automating the whole process of trying to breach the defenses of organizations. So phishing remains a significant threat, but we're seeing an increase in attacks that lead to temporary loss of access to files and networks. You might think that these attackers are not only are only targeting the large corporations like Marks and Spencers and Harrods, and these organizations clearly have deep pockets, but the data tells a totally different story. Small and medium-sized businesses are prime targets. The most common methods used by hackers to breach defenses in small organizations are the following three. Phishing is the most common, with over 80% of all breaches done through that. And phishing, spelled PH rather than F. Deceptive is basically deceptive emails designed to steal credentials. So an email with an attachment which will then try and extract information from your computer relating to your credentials. The second breach methodology is malware. So malicious software, including ransomware, that can lock down your systems. So basically, it will render your PC or desktop or laptop inoperable unless you have a key that opens it up. And invariably, to get the key, you have to pay some ransom, some money to get access to your documents. And then there's the third method is exploitation of human error. Attackers often prey on lack of employee awareness or weak password practices to breach the defenses of an organization. So just talking about the UK retailers that have been in the press recently. So in recent months, Marks and Spencers and Co-op have been hit by attacks, with a report from the Cyber Monitoring Centre estimating the total financial cost to the UK retail sector from these incidents to be anything between 270 and 440 million pounds. This demonstrates that no matter your size, the threat is real and the consequences can be staggering. So what's the real impact of these attacks? Beyond the fear that there's a serious financial toll, recent research indicates that the average cost for a micro or small organization to recover from a serious breach can be significant. One report from a government survey puts the average cost for a small business at over £7,900. Another study found the total cost of cybercrime to the UK economy is a staggering £27 billion per year. So it's a huge industry. You can see why there's a lot of attacks happening every single day. This cost isn't just about paying a ransom or fixing the broken computer, it's about business interruptions, so loss of crucial data and long-term damage to your reputation. And that is the unseen impact of a breach. That, if you are attacked and you are breached, most organizations will not want to do business with you because you are deemed a threat to them as well. So that has a massive impact. So a data breach can corrode customer trust, and recovery often takes days, even weeks of lost productivity. So our methodology is defense in depth. So what does that mean? At Civitas, we believe in a robust, multi-layered approach to security that we call defense in depth. It's a philosophy that recognizes no single solution is foolproof. And obviously, Marks and Spencers and Harrods are a testament to that. Our strategy starts with a strong enterprise-grade foundation. We use a product called Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, which is your anti-malware, antivirus solution. It's a very powerful tool that provides foundational protection against all devices. Great. But we don't stop there. The biggest vulnerability for most businesses isn't a server, it's the employee. Opening a malicious email or clicking on a compromised link. This is why we've adopted a zero trust model for our clients, specifically for the high risk activities, external emails and web browsing. Here's how it works, so very quickly. When an employee opens a document from an external email or clicks on a potentially risky website, that activity automatically is isolated in a micro virtual machine. So think of it as a tiny, single-use, self-contained environment. It's completely separate from the rest of the computer. If there's any malware or malicious code hidden in that document or on that website, it's trapped within the micro environment. The moment the user closes a document or navigates away, the micro virtual machine and any threats it contains simply disappear. This means malware never has a chance to reach your operating system, your data, or your network. This approach effectively renders phishing and drive-by malware attacks harmless. It's proactive, preventative, and drastically reduces the chance of a successful breach, especially those that begin with an employee making an honest mistake, which happens to everybody. It's the ultimate line of defense against the most common threat to small organizations today. Path forward. So the statistics I've shared are a wake-up call, but they're not a reason for panic. They're a call to action, to combining foundational security measures with advanced isolation-based technology. We can create a secure environment with your team can work productively and with confidence. The threats are evolving, and so must our defenses. So thank you for listening. I hope you found that useful.
Thank you very much, Ronnie. Absolutely. I think people will be getting in touch with you afterwards. Our next speaker is Don Mascali from Vodaphone Business IT. Don, I think you're going to be talking about cybersecurity as well, and I'm sure you will build on what Ronnie has just said. Over to you, please.
Morning, everybody. As Sally mentioned, my name is Don Mascali. I work with Vodaphone IT Hubs. So a little bit about what IT Hubs is about, apart from being covered and red being a very, very prominent color for this particular organization. We focus on supporting small businesses with all aspects of IT and with security as the foundation of everything we do. So I'm a hub owner based in Ealing, and essentially I work very closely with small businesses in the West London area. But sitting behind me is the power and might of Vodafone, who are in 170 countries around the world. One of the largest cybersecurity companies in the world. Yes, we're known for mobile phones, and actually the first mobile phone calls made in the UK 40 years ago. But over that 40 years, Vodafone has grown into a significant player within the cybersecurity space and IT space, and that is actually my focus. I very rarely get involved in mobile phones unless it's relating to security, which is very, very important. So just really following on from what Ronnie has said, because again, you don't really want to follow the sort of death by PowerPoint approach to sharing information. But what I hear a lot from small business is why do they care about us? I'm just a plumber with 4 employees and a couple of phones and a laptop. Why do they care? But the real situation is a bad actor or does not see individual businesses. All they see is what we call an IP address, and an IP address is essentially all they can see. So they're constantly using technology, especially AI, to continually try and find their way through and into to access private private and corporate data. So when they hit you as Joe Blogs plumbers, if they get through your defenses, the ransom they'll ask for will be consummate with the size of your particular organization. But in the case of Marks and Spencers and Harrods, and actually Google have actually admitted to a major breach of a few months ago, those ransom requests are going to be in the millions. So everybody, and it's an unfair fight because we as business owners have to protect our environment and our customer data and our corporate data on a 24/7 basis, you know, and a hacker just has to breach your defenses just once. So it's an unfair balance of power, which is why it's really important to kind of think about some really surprisingly basic things which a lot of us don't do. I gave a presentation at Acton Bid a couple of months ago where I covered off 7 key services, things you could put in place as an organization that don't really cost anything, that could significantly improve your protection against cyber threat. And one of the simplest ones, which is not that exciting, but keep your devices up to date. How many of us, when we're doing our day-to-day work, see that little pop-up to say you have an update that needs to be installed, and you think, oh, I'll do that later, and you click it off, and then they build up and then build up and they build up until the computer decides to force you to do it, and your laptop is basically downloading 17 gig of stuff for hours and hours. It's really important to keep your software either on your device, any device, up to date. Because the hackers are constantly looking for vulnerability, and software developers are continually patching those vulnerabilities in their software. So it's really important to, as soon as you see that when update thing come up, just to do it, just do it there and then, ideally, because that goes a long way. Also, cyber training. I think Ronnie mentioned that the weakest link, unfortunately, in any organization is staff. So if you can find tools out there that can actually train staff and actually give them sort of training in protection against phishing attacks, where we can provide simulation of attacks, and if someone accidentally clicks on a simulated phishing attack, it may take you to a video to say, right, the reason you clicked on that was because XYZ happened. Take this little training video and don't do it again, type thing. These are the sorts of services that are available from us and other organizations. There's also, with the advent of AI, the ability to keep your devices up to date on a 24/7 basis for a very small monthly fee, where not only will it protect those devices from any kind of attack, but if you are unfortunately attacked, they'll automatically mitigate that attack. So stop, like, for instance, take your device offline. It will isolate where that particular attack happened, repair the problem, restore a file, and then bring you back online and let you know that it's been done. So these are services that are available from us and other what we call managed service or managed security providers. So the important thing to remember, as I say, is just to either keep your software up to date, make sure people are trained on how to protect their environments, and ensure that you, on an annual basis, you run some kind of audit of your environment every year. Run an audit to look for vulnerability in your environment and to patch those issues. So that's just a quick overview of just to carry on from what Ronnie said, and yeah, enjoy the rest of the webinar.
Thank you very much, Don, and I'm sorry for mispronouncing your name earlier. Just one quick question. I usually do questions at the end, but there is one here about cybersecurity. It's from Bridget Faubert. Do you have any advice for organisations that rely on volunteers? They obviously, yes, I think she's with Rotary Club, and they use an awful lot of volunteers. So is it all a question of just training?
So it depends on what information you're giving volunteers access to. If they're accessing corporate information, then you need to put in place some sort of cybersecurity protection for that data. So Ronnie talked about zero trust. So it's basically giving a level of access to your data that's specific to those that individual's role. And there is software out there which will automatically allow what we call BYOD, or bring your own device access to secure information, which allows them to access the information. Sorry, my sensor's gone off and the light's gone off. So the which will give them access to the data that's necessary for their function, and also stop something called DLP, which is data leak prevention. So it stops them taking data as well. So there are tools out there that you may already have in your organization, which allows people to safely access corporate data on their own device, but not actually either put any malicious software accidentally onto your systems, or allow them to accidentally either damage data, or in an unlikely event, try to take data. So the answer to the question is just get in touch, and I can direct you
Brilliant.
as what to put in, right?
Lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. All right, our next speaker, we're now moving on to sort of a nice sort of morph into sort of physical security, but with a bit of sort of tech involved as well. Our next speaker is Arsalan Khan from the K4 Group Services. Arsalan, over to you, please.
Hello, hi, how are you? Right, I see loads of people have joined, and some interesting conversations around cybersecurity. I will bore you a little bit with death by PowerPoint, so I do apologize, but do bear with me. Okay, so my name is Arsalan. I'm the Group CEO of K4 Group of Companies, and what do we do? I think in West London recently, we've done quite a lot of brand awareness around who we are, and if you get the West London Chambers magazines, you can see us in it. K4 Group of Companies owns K4 Security Services Limited, K4 Medical, which also owns Primary Ambulance, a training company. There is around workforce. We do CCTV installation, and we own a separate arm as well, K4 Global, which is non-UK based. We are an ACS approved contractor, ACS meaning approved by the Home Office to provide security services. We get audited annually for, I think, various sort of points, but a lot to do around how we control data as well, including employer information and where and how we get staff. So screening and vetting is a big part of it. K4 Medical was a venture started about 2 years ago, and it kind of fitted very well within our venture around the event security side. We then also acquired Primary Ambulances, providing not just first aid cover, but also private patient transfers, private medical support, the normal fun stuff like film sets and events, but the critical stuff as well around insurance jobs where we have to transfer patients from country to country. So yeah, also training, and I think we touched on it earlier as well. Training is a big part of how we ensure our staff, as well as other organizations that we work with, are up to date with any changes. So we have our own online training platform. So not just classroom-based training, but online regular refreshers as and when things change. So as we have changes around legislation, as we have changes around systems. So we ourselves went from a Google-based system. So we had Google across all our things. So we logged in via Google. Everything was on Google Sheets, but it didn't quite sit well with the NHS stuff. So we've moved the whole system over to a Microsoft-based system. And when we talk about things, pushing emails and phishing emails where they're trying to get your data, both we found have quite a lot of tools within embedded in those systems where you can use. But problem is you need an expert to tell you how to use them, or you need to train your team up. K4 Workforce is around hospitality, hostess and hosts that we do for brand launches, and that's. But going on to why you want me here talking is physical security, cameras, the new tech around AI, and access control. So our installation arm has been busy recently. So you're all aware the UK government doesn't necessarily like Hikvision cameras, and Hikvision and Doha. They're the two biggest sort of manufacturers of cameras. They come out of China, amazing tech, very well priced, and they took over most of the world in the last sort of 7-8 years. But the last 2 or 3 years, there's been a drive to come away from them and be a bit more away from the Chinese owned products, simply because, again, control of data. They're able to access data without the user or the owner intervention, so they have back route access, and that's why it's been such a big uproar to change them. And with regards to AI and ANPR and all these various tech, so within the retail sector, we work with TSS quite a bit, and there is tech now that takes still a very high reliance upon the physical person, manned guard being there, but the camera system is doing a lot of the work around detection and alert piece. So if a shoplifter comes into the shop, picks up a bottle of wine, hides it in their bag, the operator or the security guard is alerted to say this has happened, and then they go investigate. Same with alarm systems, having alarms that will pick up animals rather than just triggering the alarm every time there is a movement. So before we had PIR sensors, perimeter sensors, so that will pick up if there was movement, which was great. You can identify somebody who's walking around, but it would not know the difference between an animal and a human. And you kind of played with the sensitivity of the sensor to kind of hope you got it right. Now there is a lot of change within the AI piece. It can work out from the human outline if it's a person or if it's an animal. And the last piece I will say is just even X-ray tech is changing. They're able to identify if you've got something hidden within you as you walk through, and then they can let the security operator know that there is something hidden that looks like a weapon. Search right-hand pocket. So yeah, tech piece is changing, but it's still very heavily reliant upon the manned guarding aspect, and that's where the training, the screening and vetting, the making sure the staff member is aware of the job role. And that goes on to this one more point around, I think everybody from cybersecurity has said this, the onion approach or layered approach. So you've got several layers that you need to do. So you've got a person being there, you've got system work hand in hand, and depending on what sector you're in, if you're in an office or if you're doing an event, that's kind of where we are. So that's really it. I'm trying to keep it as generic without driving in too much into different types, but loads of tech is out there that control your systems. And we ourselves, going on to Microsoft, we've now all got Microsoft Surface Pads that nobody can plug anything into. So if you plug a USB device, it doesn't recognize it because it is picked up by the system and blocked. And only certain users are able to use certain sort of permissions within the device. But yeah, so that's kind of all of it from me. That's okay. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Arsalan. So before the webinar started, you were talking about a large company that had AI based in, and they can work out if a door's open in any.
Yes. Sorry.
Right.
So I was talking about Disney. So Disney, by Hammersmith Bridge, they're based there. Their command center is based there. Currently is run by Wilson James, and the whole security for all their premises is done by that command center there. And if a door is opened and left open for more than 30 seconds, the system picks up the door is left open. The system then alerts a control room in Hammersmith. So it could be in France, it could be in Spain, and the operator will then need to investigate. They can view the footage, go, oh, someone's just put a fire extinguisher and left it ajar. Let the local security operators know that this was happened. And it's again, they've taken a localized approach, and that's where RK for Global sits as well. We have our own crime hub that deals with all the sort of shoplifting that happens for a certain customer. They're able to tally up the incidents, and they can review the footage and alert the operators and redeploy staffing through the retail sector. So there's a retail customer that we work with directly, and it is purely based on intelligence-led. So if their stores are getting hit, they can see, right, today's Shepherd's Bush, tomorrow's Hammersmith. They will go. We can make a judgment of where we need to redeploy resources. And going back to the Disney side, so the tech side with the internet and everything being so fastly sort of relayed, people are having dedicated control hubs rather than individual operations, if that makes sense. So where people, instead of having localized operations everywhere, it's one main desk that will deal with it. And that's, for Disney, for their property services, it's based in Hammersmith.
Fascinating. It's just so long as the tech works. I love it.
Yeah.
Right, our next speaker, Arsalan spoke a little about crowd control. Our next speaker is Dr. Kartikeya Tripathi from UCL, who's going to talk to us about Martyn's Law. Dr. Tripathi was introduced to us by Kingfisher Sec, and Martyn's Law was brought in after, I think, the Manchester Arena bombings. Anyway, over to you.
Thanks, Sally. I'll start by getting the tech to work, like you said, which is the toughest job. So just let me know if everyone can,
I can see
my
that.
screen.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. So my name is Kartikeya. I'm going to be speaking about Martyn's Law, especially about challenges and opportunities that it creates for what are known as standard tiered venues, which I believe would be a lot of members of the West London Chamber of Commerce. So let me start by introducing myself. So I'm an assistant professor at the Department of Security and Crime Science at University College London. My research expertise is in a very niche area. For the last 15 years, I've been studying what happens to security protocols when they are implemented by businesses in what we what we think of as dynamic work environments. So you have these standard plans, and they would work in an ideal world, but we do not work in an ideal world, right? So what happens when we try to do security in challenging environments? And that brings me neatly into talking about Martyn's Law. I'm also a co-founder of I Reckon, which is a UCL tech spin-out company, and I'll talk a little bit about it towards the end in where we come in as UCL and as this company in the Martyn's Law space. I should also mention that I'm also a resident of West London. So let me start by giving you a quick overview of Martyn's Law. This is a piece of legislation which is now a law. It's got royal assent, and the law was brought into force due to the effort made by Figan Murray, whose son Martyn Hyatt, after whom the law is named, was killed during the Manchester Arena bombing. And what we're really looking at Martyn's Law is that we believe that it is one of the biggest changes to the security and counterterrorism land space in the UK in a generation. Essentially, the law aims to set up what is known as a security regime, which is identical to a health and safety regime. So just like businesses are completely aware that they have to meet all these health and safety requirements before they can, start doing business and generating profits. Similarly, now, because of Martyn's Law, they would need to meet all these security and counterterrorism requirements. The law, like I said, the bill has been passed by both houses of Parliament. It is a law now, and businesses have been given 24 months lead-up period to prepare for Martyn's Law. We're already through 6 months of that. So it divides all public venues into two categories: the standard tier, which has 200 to 799 people attending any live event. I'll come on the next slide to what kind of businesses we're looking at. And the enhanced tier, the public venues with a capacity of 800 plus people. So I Reckon is working with enhanced tier right now in order to enable them to prepare for implementation of Martyn's Law. So what are the requirements of Martyn's Law? And these apply to both standard tier and the enhanced tier. It requires all businesses to conduct and maintain a terrorism risk assessment. So this is dynamic, ongoing process on a per event basis. So if you're a business, let's say you're a restaurant and you have you have someone coming in to do a live performance, and you have more than 200 people who are going to be attending it. You need to do that terrorism risk assessment for every time you put on that event. After you've done the assessment, you are expected to implement proportionate security measures based on that risk assessment, train staff on recognizing and responding to threats, and develop and test evacuation and lockdown plans. So essentially, it is a lot of work. And what is the impact on businesses? And this is a question I'm often asked. Does the law have teeth? And the answer to that is yes. I'm also a trained lawyer by profession. I've read the legislation multiple times, and it includes some pretty heavy fines and potential closure of business if you do not meet the law's requirements. I was surprised to read that in the final piece of legislation, it also carries provisions of imprisonment if you lie about putting in provisions which are not there. So that will be tantamount to fraud, and you're looking at time in jail. The law applies to a wide range of sectors, including retail, hospitality, transport. Events is a big one, and attraction. So wherever you have more than 200 to 799 people, you are in standard tier. And the compliance is meant to be ongoing security planning and documentation. And documentation is, with any law, there'll be a regulator. SIA is going to be the regulator. You will have to show that you are complying with the law through thorough documentation of the processes. So what are the challenges? I think I don't need to tell you. I'm fully convinced that most standard tier venues will lack any in-house expertise on this. I don't think people are going around thinking about terrorism and security issues, risk assessment plans, mitigation plans. They just want to run their business. They will put in place what seems like manual ad hoc processes in order to show that they're complying with the law. Whether they'll meet those requirements or not is like on a per case basis. There'll definitely be a lack of audit trail because you're not maintaining that documentation properly. And most importantly, there'll be tight budgets, right? We know how businesses, especially in this sector, have suffered because of various issues, starting with COVID, and then all the interest rates, et cetera. I don't need to go into that. But what I'm saying is that not every business is going to have an opportunity to hire a security expert or a consultant in order to make sure that they're complying with the law. So this is where I think something like the work we're doing at UCL comes in. We've developed this AI augmented platform, which is basically a compliance and risk assessment tool. And we're doing it for enhanced tier businesses. And what we're doing is we use publicly available and proprietary data to produce all compliance documentation at the touch of a button. So we're essentially riding on this AI augmentation wave, which is really interesting. Just today morning, I was talking to some research students about ChatGPT 5 and the opportunities it presents us, and we're just using that path to produce to enable compliance with Martyn's law. So in the bigger space, we are working with one of the largest public events companies in the UK. I won't name them, but they are significantly big hitters in the space, in the top 10 in the UK. We are working with the world's largest aviation company to use AI augmented software to produce and classify risks that aviation faces. We are also working with the largest public transport company in the UK, which I'm sure you can guess who they are. They're London-based. So how does I reckon work? We haven't really worked out the pricing. So like I said, we are a university spin-out. We are working with the enterprise sector. That's where we are getting all the support, the data, the money from in order to develop this platform. That's ongoing work with the large research team. But what we're looking at is we are looking at what you call an I reckon light version, which will enable standard tier venues to produce entire compliance documentation that meets regulatory requirements at the touch of a button. Right, we'll be given the same technology that we're developing for the bigger clients who are paying for it, and just in order to run things, we're looking at something like a per event pricing model of something like £20, which will be pretty basic, just enough to meet the compute cost and the requirements of that model. I mean, that is open to you guys. I'd love to get feedback on whether that is a fair price. What do you think? But bear in mind, you know, any small business would be doing away with any requirements of having an in-house security expert or a consultant in order to do that, and pay just per event basis. So if you do, let's say, 3 events a week, which require compliance with Martyn's Law, you pay £60. And we also expect that there'll be a huge knock-on effect on insurance pricing, because, you know, businesses would be maintaining this, like I said, audit trail showing that how they're doing security and terrorism risk mitigation much better, which will win them brownie points with their insurance providers. So finally, this is just me. I'm speaking to you guys, and really happy about that. My other 2 co-founders and teammates in this are Dr. Paul McFarlane, who is an associate professor here at UCL, ex-UK military and Met Police counterterrorism, senior counterterrorism officer. And we've got this great AI engineer who's an Oxford, Cambridge mathematician and engineer. What a great combination of expertise in order to do this. And that's what we're doing. If you have any questions, get in touch with me. You can find details that we've also set up a website here at UCL called ireckon.com. So yeah, just let me know, and I'll stop sharing there.
Thank you very much. So what? Okay, I'm just thinking of the chamber. We run a hospitality, our business awards dinner, which is taking place in November this year. Please do book your places. Last year we had 290 people there. Does that come under Martyn's Law?
Yes, it does,
doesn't it?
Yes,
okay.
It does.
So is it with the hotel where we host the event? Are they responsible for carrying out these checks, or is it us, the company putting on the event?
I think under the law, it's the hotel which would be required, but they would rely upon you, because they would need all the information of what you're doing. So there'll be this huge, documentation audit trail, and the hotel should just get on with it, and because that's something I'd say they'd be doing quite regularly, and what they'd need is produce this risk assessment. But where I would really come in is that risk assessment would change depending on whether they're hosting the West London Chamber of Commerce or a sports team or a golf tourney, or which is where I think this work becomes really critical.
Right. Interesting. Because there's a question in the chat. What do you think the effect of Martyn's Law will be on insurance arrangements for SMEs and community interest enterprise groups? Well, obviously it's going to up the cost, isn't it?
Okay, that's a really interesting question. 2 things are going to happen. One is it's going to activate this insurance market. So the insurance companies call it the terrorism and political violence risk. And a lot of businesses, smaller businesses included, would now be rushing to get that insurance because they want to, to cover themselves in case something bad happens, or they need lawyers if the regulator comes after them. But what it will also do is that it will make pricing of insurance risk a lot more scientific and data driven. So the way insurance risk is priced right now, it's a mere finger in the air, right? You'll go to them and they're just applying the standard pricing model to everybody. And we believe that's wrong, right? Just like if you're a better car driver, your insurance risk comes down, your insurance premium price comes down. It should be the same for businesses. So businesses which are better at producing these risk assessment plans and putting mitigations in place and doing all the right things which the law asks them to do, should be paying much less in premium. And I think that's what is going to really impact both the businesses, which will demand better pricing, and the insurance market, which will have to give it to them.
Thank you. There's another quick question. Can you just share the platform link in the chat?
I'll do that now.
Thank you.
I'll do that
now. Our last speaker. No, thank you. Our last speaker is Abdul Lasebai from My Local Bobby and Your Acton Bid. Hopefully talking about citizens' arrest, and should we plough in? Abdul.
Thank you very much for that introduction. Yes, my name is Abdul. I work for an organization known as My Local Bobby. It is a security company that provides their services mostly to bid areas, such as the area in Acton, mostly in West London, Ealing, Leicester Square, and Tottenham Court Road. There's sites all over London, all with bobbies within them, who have, as you correctly pointed out, the ability to citizens arrest. But it's not just us who can citizens arrest. Actually, anyone here within in the UK can perform a citizens arrest. There's only two major factors that you need to uphold when you do it, though. So it's where you have to be very careful. And I'm not saying go out there, you see a shoplifter, tackle him and get him, wrestle him to the ground and hold him until the police arrives. Obviously, put yourself first. If you've got a family, you've got kids, you don't know what they're carrying. Make sure you're safe all the time. But if you do want to carry out a citizen's arrest, the best way to do it is to ensure that you have the grounds to do so. So those grounds to do so would essentially be, have you witnessed the crime yourself? This is a big one, because if the police come up later and say, why have you arrested this person, detained them? Do you have the grounds to do so? And you go, I just felt like it. They're really not going to take you seriously. You may end up getting arrested. So make sure that you do witness crime or you see evidence of the crime. So that can be anything from a video someone's taken on their phone to the CCTV footage. So there have been times where me and my partner, when we're on patrol, we get called into a business and we get to see the CCTV footage of someone taking about £200 worth of washing up liquid, tablets, not the bottles. Because we've now witnessed that over the CCTV footage, we can now go out and try and find where they have been. If we find where they are, if they have the goods with them, amazing. We take the goods back, we detain the person, we let them know they're being detained and what they're being detained under, the reasons for it, and we take them back to the store to either wait for the police to turn up, or if the store doesn't want to press charges, then we will just issue them a banning notice on behalf of the business and just make sure they don't come back in here again. And if they do go back again, the banning order allows people to be able to just get them out of the business. So it does allow some form of security within the area. But this is all under Section 3 of the Criminal Law Act. That's what this whole citizen's arrest comes under. That if you're more curious and want to do a bit more in-depth reading and studying up on it, by all means, feel free to do so. That's what you need to look up, Section 3 of the Criminal Law Act. But again, you do need to make sure that you're doing it correctly. Don't put yourself at risk. Don't put others at risk. I understand now, shoplifting is at an all-time high in the UK. People are brazen. They don't care anymore. They see that for whatever reason, they know they can get away with it. And they do. And most people, what they do, they take out their phones. They'll start recording what's happening, but not do anything about it. That's where I feel like security officers like myself, frontline security officers like myself, my partner, like the rest of everyone at MLB, they see that ownership needs to be taken of a situation. And we are more than happy to take ownership of that situation to help and support those people who would feel threatened otherwise at a business, who would feel like, I don't want to confront this person because I don't know what will happen. We have the uniform, we have the kit, we have the ability and the know-how to do this. So we're more than happy to take on that responsibility for people. And obviously the bids also see that, not just obviously your Acton bid, who I also work for. They see that there's a need for this in their area. Obviously the police can only do so much, they're stretched thin. And we've all had it where you call 999 because there's a shoplifter. The police don't turn up for at least a couple of hours. It is unfortunately a truth that we have to face up to. This is because they don't rate any shoplifting over £200, or if the suspect themselves are not aggravated or aggressive or carrying a weapon, it goes very, very low down on the tier list for the police to respond to. And that is how the current policing is. It's a response team. If you want results, albeit not quick results, if you want results, start building a relationship with your local safer neighborhoods team from the police. They will have more information on the repeat offenders in the area. They'll have all the information you probably need to obviously help you out if you are looking to press charges against someone. But that is the relationship you need to be building, or that with the council as well, for the ASB team at the council. They'll have, again, all the information. They'll have a relationship with the police. But if having, the ability to do the citizen's arrest, it is a start. Knowing that knowledge, it is very important that you have it. But again, try and keep yourself safe, genuinely. We don't want people being heroes. We want people to be safe. That is it. If you see anyone in a red vest around, by all means, flag them down. More than happy to help out anytime, any day of the week, as long as we're around. We'll do our best to make sure that you're safe, secure, and that you are listened to, I think, is a human part of it. All my peers and colleagues today have spoken about, on great depth, about the technology and AI, and obviously the future of the security industry as a whole, from cybersecurity to utilizing gadgetry and technology. But at the end of the day, people want to talk to people. People want to see people doing things. Putting your faith in numbers is only going to get you so far. It'll get you results in the long run, sure. But in the short run, you want someone to be there to be like reassuring, to let you know that everything will be okay. But yes, I hope that has covered everything.
Out of interest, I mean, how many citizens arrests have there been? I mean, can you give some figures in you know,
That I've done personally?
Yeah, just or other people. Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know off the top of my head. It's a large number. I mean, within the
Okay.
organization we set ourselves, whenever we get involved, we obviously have to report reports on.
Yeah.
I think I've got over 700 reports logged. Probably about 30% of them I've had to go hands on.
Right.
So quite a large amount. Quite a large amount.
Mm. Gosh,
Robin.
It's an interesting one because I only know the case of one person who's a McDonald's franchisee who is, you know, he can handle himself. He's obviously used to dealing with some tricky situations, and he legged it after somebody he saw a mugging on a train, and he legged it after them, and he managed to sort of stop the person. The police did come, but you know, as I say, he knows how to handle himself.
Exactly.
I would, you know, my reaction would be, you know, back off. Don't put yourself in that position. Because as you say, you don't know what they're carrying. But
exactly. You want to keep yourself safe. Obviously, that is the normal response. And just to answer your question, Robin, unfortunately, no, we are not a vigilante group. We are a registered security company who have been trained in the use of handcuffs and on how to correctly arrest and detain someone. Just to further build on my point, when you do detain someone, they obviously, you can't just give them a good kicking. It doesn't work like that. They are protected by the Geneva Convention, by human rights. You have to make sure that their needs are met. So respect their dignity, regardless of what they've done. Their dignity always needs to be respected. They're humans first before anything else. But yes, sorry, I just wanted to answer that question.
Abdul, can you also clarify? Are you fully licensed to do what you do?
So you don't need a license to perform a citizen's arrest, but some degree of training will help, whether it's physical restraint or understanding of the law itself when it comes to crimes and what's being committed.
So
I am a registered
officer?
SIA agent.
Yes,
I'm a security
exactly.
officer.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I am a registered SIA security officer. I've done the training, first aid courses, the whole lot.
So, Sally, would you like to test what they do and dress up, go undercover in Acton, start to steal things, and see what type of citizen's arrest Abdul put you under?
It would be an interesting. Yeah, no, it would be very interesting. I mean, just recently, I mean, I was at a tube station, and you see people, and it was on the you know, Google this morning on my Google search. You know, they just push their way through the disabled, you know, the wider tube gates. So they're not, you know, they're not paying their fare, and that was on the radio this morning. Huge amounts of money is being lost.
Yeah, and our local MP hasn't gone after them with a film crew saying, "Can you pay your fare, please?"
And it now sort of seems he wasn't allowed to do that. They've got human rights. And then you know, there was also on the radio this morning, shops are not allowed to put mug shots of shoplifters in their windows. And one shop,
unfortunately,
unfortunately
not. There is a level of data protection here that we have to adhere to within the UK. And obviously, if businesses do that, the businesses open themselves up to being sued by people. Especially, there is a human element here. Sometimes people get it wrong. This is why we now start relying on AI cameras. So someone could be up there who doesn't deserve to be up there, and now all of a sudden their name's been smirched.
Okay, fair dues.
With the TfL pushing through, that's a whole separate issue of laws, because that comes under not the police itself, that comes under the British Transport Police. There's a whole extra set of laws there. It winds me up to no end as well, by the way.
Yes. Yeah. And the video I saw, the British, you know, the transport workers are just watching it, not doing anything.
Yeah, no.
Again,
I see that all the time.
Their safety comes first, doesn't it? So
it does.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Looking at we did have a question on. Hold on. Where was it? It was about I'm going up the chat box. Right. This is a cyber one. What's the best response if a phishing email comes from an internal account?
You want to take this one, Ronnie?
Yeah. Yeah, if you have an internal account, so let's say you are at Ronnie at at mns.com, and then John at mns.com sends you an email and it's got a virus in it. You are in trouble for sure, because the idea behind zero trust is you trust everything that is internal within the organization. The reason behind that is because if you're sending each other viruses, I don't think you're going to be team members for a very long time, because that is compromising the organization, and you're not being diligent in what you do on a day-to-day basis. However, we can set up our cybersecurity, so the defense in depth, so everything goes through a micro virtual machine, so a software version of your environment. So it actually can be catered for. It's unusual, but it can be catered for.
Do you have anything to add to that, Don?
No, I think that's pretty much covered, because the challenge you've got is it's a trusted individual inside the house. You know, the call's coming from inside the house, right? So there's the other possibility is that email address can be spoofed, and this is something else which a lot of business owners that have their own domains don't look to protect. And there's a couple of things that you can Google, something called SPF and DMARC, which essentially stops people essentially pretending to be you and using your email addresses to send emails to trusted individuals. So there's a couple of very simple steps you can put in place to protect your domain, to stop people using it, and it allows that your email address is always trusted. Plus, email security is pretty good these days, so you'd be very unlucky for an email to go through all your email servers with a virus attached to it, get onto the person's PC with antivirus on that PC, it not being detected by that PC, and then forwarding it on to someone else who also didn't detect it. So it is possible that you can have internal, but it's, as Ronnie said, it'd be pretty bad luck. but there's so many layers of protection you can put in to protect from that scenario.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And I've got one last thing. Mobile phones. I mean, I tend to do, and yeah, we're bombarded by messages coming from everywhere. So there's obviously email, there's LinkedIn, there's SMS text, and then there's WhatsApp. I mean, I recently got one purported to be from Alan, and it wasn't. I mean, it had his picture there, that the number wasn't right, and it was just a link, but the link seemed to make sense.
Right.
And sometimes his WhatsApp messages can be a little cryptic. But
don't trust anything you get from Alan, Sally.
No,
don't trust
exactly.
anything from me.
So,
just start off
so
with that.
Just
Yeah,
start by
so
put Alan on the block list, and then everything's fine.
Well, yeah, so I did, you know, yeah, but I did
No, apart from
mention.
no, all joking aside, I mean there are a number of there is a tool I would recommend, a technology called Lookout. It's very, very inexpensive. It's a couple of pounds a month, and I believe it's the market leader in mobile phone security and protection. So it will protect your device from phishing attacks, dodgy websites, and also impersonation text messages. So it also checks your text messages and links in the text message. So it will do something called link following. So when you receive a message, the software will go and check that link that it's actually where it says it's meant to be going, and block it as well. So I'd recommend something like Lookout is one. There are many of them out there, but the one that we phone is Lookout, which is a couple of quid a month.
I've made a note. Thank you. Yeah. Well, I sort of see we're at 2 minutes past 11, so we're sort of past our slot.
Thank you.
I would like to thank you all for this morning. I think it's been a fascinating morning. It will be on our YouTube channel, and so everybody can sort of see the slides. Thank you so much. And I think, you know, my takeaways are, do those updates. I'm going to mention Martyn's Law to the hotel when we do our black tie event in November. Please make sure you book your tickets. And yeah, just make sure you're vigilant and don't trust anybody, I think possibly is the answer, apart from your local Chamber of Commerce. All right. So thank you very much indeed. Thank you for all your time this morning.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Sally.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you,
Thanks,
Lisa.
Sally.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Cheers.
you.